turn into rejection. I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances are quite unlikely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, boxes. I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted, exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Good morning, Knicks universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Morning Brew on this Wednesday, December 27th. Like always, I'm your guy Hector, joined by my compañeros this morning. I got my guy Phil, all caps. I got my guy Jerry Ferrara, and I got my brother from another mother, my guy Jiggaman Porto. Fellas, how are we doing?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Doing good? How you feeling, Jerry?
I'm still on a high from the Christmas Day miracle. So I know we're going to talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm on a high, too, and I hope everybody had a good Christmas. You know when, like, Ferris Bueller, I don't know if you guys remember that movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? When he's talking right to the camera, and he goes, life comes at you pretty fast. That's how I felt on Christmas, because my old ritual before marriage and kids was I went to every Knicks game on Christmas Day. I went like 9 years in a row. And I think they were 0-9 in those Christmas Day games. So seeing a win like this, I loved opening up presents with the kids and stuff, but truly watching this game and they win on Christmas Day. I mean, they have won on Christmas Day before, obviously. They played the most games on Christmas Day ever, but that was just a beautiful, beautiful win. And that was the best gift I got.
Especially after that loss, you know. And this is Jerry, I'm on the opposite spectrum, bro. Like I've always had to like sneak it in with kids.
Right.
Now my kids are grown and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They're sleeping. Some are out already. I was like, I literally can watch this entire game. But I was concerned, man, after the first loss against them. I was like, oh, this is going to be a brutal start to Christmas.
I tweeted, that's the best team I've seen in the league. That's how upset I was about that loss.
Yeah. What about you, Phil? How was your Christmas? What was your thoughts from the Christmas game?
It was good.
The miracle on 31st.
It was beautiful, man. So, you know, one thing that's different about Christmas now is when I first got married, my mom fell in love with the fact that she had another daughter, because she didn't really ever want me and CJ. Like she wanted, you know, she didn't want me and Celso. She wanted girls. So when, you know, we had wives or whatever, you know, it was like happy for her. So she actually gave me an IOU the first Christmas I brought my wife Krista home. She got my wife a bunch of stuff and said, I owe you stuff. That was her gift to me the first Christmas that I came back. I kind of rubbed it in her face for like the next 5 years. So now, like 2 months, 3 months before Christmas, she's like, what do you want? And so I get exactly what I want. So like one of these hats right here, that was this is what I want. And so she bought them like 2 months ago and they've just been chilling in my tree. So that was great. And my kids, great. But Jerry can attest, when you have younger kids, it's not the schedule you expect. So my wife was like, hey, I know the game's important to you. We're going to make popcorn. We're going to watch the game with you. No, I bought the kids a Nintendo Switch. So it was like Mario Kart needs to happen. So Mario Kart was playing. And then on my computer on the floor was like glances of the Knicks game as we played circuits of Mario Kart. But, you know, we won. Great family time. So it was a win-win.
I love the fact that you just admitted mom bought you stuff for Christmas. I gotta have a conversation with her because all I got was Monster. So there's a problem here. You're getting dope hats.
You get a 365. That junk adds up. That junk adds up. Especially as much as you drink them.
Gotta love the childhood trauma and the Mario Kart all mixed in together, right? I guess shout out to me for not having any kids, you know, pull out game strong over here for this guy. But no, shout out to everybody that's in the chat. We got over 400 people watching us collectively. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Twitter or Instagram, click the link that's in the bio. Come join us crazy lunatics over here on YouTube. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button for your boys. But I throw it over to my guy, Jerry, because we've had trade rumors We have all these rumors going on when it comes to Knicks Twitter, Dejounte Murray, Donovan Mitchell. Where are you sitting at right now when it comes to this team and the rumors that are running wild on the interwebs?
Well, here's why I truly like you guys, because I'm emotional in our Knicks Brew chat, right? I don't show all the emotion on Twitter like all of Knicks Twitter does and reacts to every game and almost quarter by quarter.
We get the organic.
You'll be trading RJ in the first half, and then in the second half he's untouchable. That's how Knicks Twitter works, right? I don't really do that. I keep it mostly positive, but I did after that first Bucks game before Christmas. I did text you guys, like, guys, we got to make a trade. We have to make a trade. Yeah. That's like, the Mitchell Robinson injury is going to play way bigger than we even know. And it's like screws in the foot, 7-footers. You never like to see that. And I just was angry we couldn't beat that fucking team. Excuse me, my language. Like, I just wanted to they've been handing us our lunch. So as far as the trades go, I'm so split in the middle. Like, I definitely – and the conspiracy version of me is clicking. Now, I've held back from saying this publicly too much because not that I think that anyone in the Nets organization is listening, but I really do think as far as Donovan Mitchell goes anyway, the only thing that could really mess that up is either A, if the Knicks truly just don't want him, which is possible, right? I guess maybe there'll be some teams doing a 1-year rental, potentially like the Pelicans could do it. But if the Nets get involved, truly, that removes the leverage from the Knicks. Right now, we have it all, and the Cavs don't really have much. They can hold on to Donovan. But if the Nets if I'm the Cavs, I'm going to pit the Knicks and the Nets against each other and see what that's going up, just to drive up. And I talked to a lot of Cavs fans over the holidays. I'm in Cleveland. All the Cavs fans locally want to trade Mitchell right now. That's the consensus I got from probably 30 fans, which I guess is a good sample size. Right?
Yeah, that's a good size.
30 fans. I keep thinking Santa, by the way, on the pictures, raising his hand like he got something to say. He keeps throwing me
Santa,
off.
go ahead, Santa.
I was like, go ahead, Santa. But yeah, I'd love to kick around all the trade talks that are going around because I do think it might be time to make a move. Only because what keeps messing with me, and I think we talked to Dexter Henry a little about this, is the timeline for Brunson and Randle, who Brunson's 28, will be 29 next year. I think Randle's a year ahead. Like, they're not old by any stretch. They're in their prime, but as we wait for RJ and Grimes and Robinson to get healthy, and we do have other win-now players like a Josh Hart, and like a DiVincenzo's a win-now play. He's a piece of a win-now team. Is the timelines all united, or is that 5-6 years that big of a difference that could just keep you, in the middle? And again, I'm super grateful still. You got me 4, 5, 6 seed in the playoffs. I am grateful. I'm not trying to say we got to win a championship, but I am entertaining the trade stuff more than I ever have, for sure.
To piggyback off of what Jerry just said, I'm not sure if you guys or the three of you guys saw it. When it comes to Vegas and though the guys that make the odds and stuff like that, the Knicks are favored right now when it comes to landing Donovan Mitchell. It's the New York Knicks, then it's the Miami Heat, and then it's the Brooklyn Nets when it comes to the odds on who's favored to get Donovan Mitchell. So we got to ask ourselves, I know RJ Barrett scored 20 points, and like Jerry says, Knicks Twitter sometimes is 50-50 when it comes to Sir RJ Barrett, but if we want to have Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett has to be a part of the conversation. One, he's a young asset that the Cavs can use. And two, the money matches up when you pair RJ Barrett and Evan Fournier's contract. It matches up perfectly for Donovan Mitchell. I'll throw it over to you, Celso. Throw it over to you, Phil, to get your thoughts on it. And also, we got over 350 in the building. If you guys can't smack that like button. And like I said, if you're watching on other platforms, click the link in the bio. Come join us over here on YouTube. Go ahead, Mr. Celso Portito.
I'll say off of that, heck. Shout out to everybody in the chat because just 2 weeks ago, we were like, man, it would be great if we could hit 2K. And here we are at 2225. You guys are showed up, showed out. Appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, smack it nicely. Go ahead and just press that button for us. But let's talk about the RJ thing because you said it, Jerry. It was that first Bucks game where I won't lie. You guys know we were in that group chat and I was like, whatever it takes. I can't keep dealing with the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde and what we get with RJ. Yeah. And then the Christmas game, it was like RJ shows up and you're like, okay, let's hold on. Don't get rid of RJ yet. It's okay. Like, just emotional when it comes to him right away. But there's confusion because every single trade that gets thrown out there, obviously we're losing somebody. So, I mean, I want to ask you guys, and I'll ask the chat too, is that RJ Barrett? If you're going after a Murray, for instance, I mean, is RJ Barrett the piece you're getting rid of and Murray's your one and Brunson becomes your two? Is that how you look at it? Right? Because, I mean, again, Brunson's our point guard, right? So it's like, why are we looking at another point guard? So I guess I'm just torn, you know?
Well, go ahead, Phil. Jump in here because I got a point too to make off of that, but I see you itching.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I said it in the video that I released yesterday. If you guys haven't watched it, check it out. It talks a little bit about the Dejounte Murray thing. But to break it down, in my opinion, when you look at the Dejounte Murray thing, to me, I'm more inclined to do that than I am a Donovan Mitchell trade. Because if you look at that Bucks game, the way this roster is constructed, the reason we won is because – yes, we don't have that 1A Giannis style player that can, you know, night in, night out, do whatever. That's the debate, okay? But you have guys like Randle, RJ, even Quick showed up. When all those guys give you 20, then it's not as big of a burden on Brunson, and we can go up against these star-studded teams. We're not built on the shoulders of one or two players. We're built on the shoulders of, you know, our team as a whole. So for me, if you trade for Donovan Mitchell, you're ruffling feathers. You're taking a good amount of pieces out in order to make that trade happen because Cleveland wants to get back a little bit of like what they gave up for it. And they also know that he's considered, you know, an elite player. Dejounte, as good as he is, he doesn't get that same accolade and same respect as Donovan Mitchell. So the only thing about our roster construction is when one of those guys doesn't come in with an 18 to 22 point per game, that puts so much pressure on Jalen Brunson. Dejounte is the kind of player that can do that. He's got that like mentality of clutch baskets. We've seen it time and time again. And if you look at their stats, rebound wise, it's only half a rebound more that Donovan Mitchell gets over him. When it comes to shooting percentage, his is actually better. When it comes to assists, they're equal, and it's about a 7-point difference, but Dejounte is still at 20 points. So he's the kind of player that, to me, they would trade for assets more so than they would players. And so I think we can keep the core of Jalen, Randle, and RJ and add a Dejounte Murray in, and that now gives us a 6'10 wingspan that we need. That gives us some length. That gives us another bucket getter. So for me, I would rather add Dejounte to the three of them and keep building off of that than have to remove one of them, put in Donovan, and still need somebody else to be able to get, you know, more buckets.
So you see Dejounte as an added piece to our three.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get with that. In that situation, though, Jerry, are you moving Brunson to the two, or are you keeping Brunson?
So here's what it's such an interesting. Look, for all we know, Leon Rose is sitting there going, "I'm not doing anything. I'll sign free agents." And like, for all we know, the Knicks are like, we have a really good record. We are showing that we're trending up. I'm not doing anything. I love our young assets, but if you look at Mitchell and you look at Murray, what I like about the Murray thing, and why maybe it's not working so well in Atlanta, is Trae Young can't play off ball. Yep. He just can't. And we know about the defensive stuff. I think Brunson's a slightly better defender than Trae, but you do have to hide both of them. And Murray's a part of hiding them. Murray's guarding their best perimeter player for the most part. That's under 6'7". But if we go back to Brunson early playing with Luka, he's played off ball before. He's so much better of a fit with Murray offensively, because both of those guys can play off ball and they both can create. It's an interesting thing, and I think it would work better than it did with Atlanta. What I worry about off of what Phil was saying is, like, look, Atlanta arguably paid the highest price for Murray because it was at his peak level of worth, because then he goes to Atlanta and it's not been great. So they're going to try to recoup as much of those assets that they gave up for him. So they're going to be asking for tons. Funny, though, we know who the GM is of the Atlanta Hawks, right? Ex-Nick Landry Fields. Not that matters. Not since Kevin McHale handed the Boston Celtics Kevin Garnett has an old player looked out for his former franchise. But it is an interesting situation. Again, I don't know if Leon's sitting there like saying I'm doing nothing, but those two players are very interesting. I don't know if you can get Phil. You were saying get Murray to go with Randle, Brunson, and RJ. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, because here's the thing.
I don't know. I think Atlanta. Well, unless Atlanta just loves IQ and Grimes and a shitload of picks that they gave up, maybe that happens. But it's hard to imagine any trade scenario for those two players that doesn't involve RJ. If I'm the other team,
I don't think RJ and Trey work, and that's why I don't see them wanting to target RJ. Like, I feel like Emmanuel Quickley would be more of a target. And if we're not going to give Emmanuel Quickley the bag to come off the bench, then we might as well look into trading him, while we still have him. And so I think with all the picks that we have, I could see Atlanta more so wanting to get a mass amount of picks and doing what we always say the Knicks should do and condense those picks to try and move up in the draft. Like, I could see Atlanta actually doing what we always say we should do with these picks during draft time, is bundle them together for a team that necessarily would rather have, 4 or 5 picks instead of 1 pick, and they move up in the draft. Because I don't see us drafting. I really don't. So
yeah.
I see both.
Hey, quickly, the Hawks. What do you think, Heck? Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say I see both points, right? And both Jerry and Phil, they make solid points. When if you're the Atlanta Hawks, you got to ask yourself: are you going to go through a rebuild with Trae Young, or are you going to try to rebuild around Trae Young? Right? And when it comes down to it, they're going to try to rebuild around Trae Young. So you got to ask yourself, what is it going to cost? Is it going to cost more with Dejounte Murray, or when it comes with Donovan Mitchell? Off the rip, I think Donovan Mitchell is going to cost you more when it comes to assets. Dejounte Murray, he's waiting for that contract extension. So it's a little bit of give or take when it comes to Murray. You just got to feel what the Atlanta Hawks want back in a return. When it comes to the fit, I think Dejounte Murray, he fits a lot better with this team than with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a home run. He's a bucket getter. Over the past 3 years, I think he's averaged over 26 points per game over the past 3 seasons. So he's a bucket getter. When you look at the fit, him, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle, I think would be the better offensive team, but they're going to struggle when it comes to defense, right? I think if you have Donovan Mitchell on our team, it takes a lot of the pressure and it takes a lot of the focus defensively off of Julius Randle. And I think Julius Randle could unlock his game more with Donovan Mitchell on the court. But if you have Dejounte Murray, you add that playmaking ability, you add his defense, which we tremendously need, and also he's solid from beyond the arc. So it's not like he's a liability out there and he can't knock down an open 3. He can definitely knock down an open 3. I just think the fit with Donovan Mitchell would be better offensively, not defensively. And I feel you would get the better version of Julius Randle because you won't have that much pressure on Randle. And again, teams just can't focus on Julius Randle. If you're going to the meetings the day before or 2 days before you match up with the Knicks, your focus is going to be on Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, trying to stop them going down the court. So you have Julius Randle as the third option, and I think he will feast better as that third option. But with a coach like Tom Thibodeau, what does Tibbs want? Does he want more of an offensive team or more of a defensive team, something that he's used to and known for?
But that's the thing, is with Dejounte, you're not sacrificing. You're not sacrificing offense for defense. And that's the hard thing about adding Donovan Mitchell to a Randle Brunson package, because we can point out Randle's, insufficiencies on defense, or Jalen Brunson not being a great defender, especially when, players are taller. And people will say, yeah, but what about so-and-so? They don't play defense. And you have to not just look at the player, but the roster construction, because a lot of these players that they're pointing out don't play defense. They're surrounded by players who do play defense. So it's not as big of an issue for that team that one of their players doesn't play great defense, because the rest of their team is making up for it. with Dejounte Murray, some people are like, he's not great defensively. I don't know what you know, but he was 2022. He was all defensive. I think it was second team. And, before that in 2018, he was the steals leader. So, this year he might not be doing as well, but you bring him to a team with Tibbs, who loves the drive of a defender, and he puts that fire to keep on being that clutch defender. I think you'll see those numbers start to rise in Dejounte Murray again. So for me, you get offense and defense from Murray. You get a lot of offense from Donovan Mitchell with some defense, but not enough to really make us a defensive team.
Yeah. No, I get that. I just want to highlight a few chats real quick, Jerry, and I'll throw it over to you to get your take. But shout out to Uncle Freezy and the Lawrence Tears family. Uncle Freezy, how you doing? Salute. My guy MIG is in the building. My panel family, we will not get Dejounte Murray. He is a Rich Paul client, and they do not do business with Leon Rose. And that's the issue. That's the issue that you face when it comes to. I know Jerry's gonna go off when it comes to that. Bobby Santiago's in the building. Bobby, how you doing, my guy? Salute to you as well. We got over 300 people in the building. Like I said before, if you guys can, smack that like button. And if you're watching us on other platforms, click the link and join us lunatics over here on YouTube. Jerry, the floor is yours, my brother.
Well, I read the story. I've heard that before with Rich Paul and Clutch and the Knicks. And look, how many Clutch players do the Knicks have or have had, right? So there's obviously a lot of truth to that. But I'm just wondering, and look, there's no doubt about how powerful Rich Paul and Clutch are, of course. I'm not trying to take a shot at that. If they wanted to do an embargo, like no business with the Knicks, out like some Don Corleone shit, they could do it. They got the power to do it. They got all the families on board. But if you're Dejounte Murray and you want to go to New York, but your agent is saying no, and because I've had an agent for 20 years. If there was a show I really wanted to do, but the agent was like, no, we don't do business with that person. I'm like, well, you also don't pay my bills. So could you make the deal happen? Like, I feel like, I don't know, like unless Dejounte Murray doesn't want to come to the Knicks, so it's really not that much of an issue, and he's happy in Atlanta and wants to work it out. Look, do I think maybe they do need a sit down? Like, we're talking all gangster shit here. Do Leon and Rich maybe need to have a sit down? Sure, I could see that, but I don't believe for 1 second that if all parties are interested and there's a good deal for both sides, I think Rich Paul's smart enough as a businessman to be like, all right, I'm not going to stop this, but maybe he's just, he got out in public first, maybe, or I don't know who leaked that little story. It's out there, and we're all thinking, wow, Rich Paul's a gangster. He's just shutting down a trade to the Knicks, to New York.
Sit down.
So I think if there's a deal to be made, it will happen.
Who knows if it's true, but
it's got to be true, Phil. They haven't done a deal with Clutch.
No. I mean, like that he won't, do anything without the Knicks sitting down, like you said, if it's Dejounte Murray's livelihood, how much of a ride or die is he with him? Is it that big of a bond that he would sacrifice career for loyalty with his agent? I don't know. But if it's him that leaked it, that gives him the upper hand, because not only does he have to see that they now need to set up that meeting, but he also knows that if they're willing to set up that meeting, that this is something that they really want, and now the chips are all stacked in his corner, and he can, seek what he wants in that trade for Dejounte Murray. It gives him that upper hand if he was the one to release that, it gives him a little bit of wiggle room on what gets done and what doesn't get done.
Phil, I just want to ask you real quick. When it comes to this story with Dejounte Murray, who in the media was the first person to report on this? I just want to let's just do critical thinking. Let's just use our thinking caps, right? Let's do that right now. Who in the media reported it first?
Who? That's a great question. I actually don't know.
Shams, right? Was it Shams?
Shams. Never wrong. Yeah.
Hey, who represents Shams? Who represents him? Clutch Sports. So if you don't think Clutch Sports leaked this out to his guy so he could put it out there in the media, you're smoking something, right? You know, someone in the Yankees chat yesterday called me a crackhead, so you know I'm on my crackhead energy right now.
Smoking that shit,
smoking that stuff. But also, when it comes to DeMar DeRozan, right? Zach LaVine, who put that article out about Zach LaVine getting all these different people eyeing him, wanted to target him. Shams, who represents Zach LaVine, Clutch Sports. If you don't think that Shams gets the inside bit when it comes to players that are signed with Clutch Sports, it's all a part of the business. It's
right.
All
and Woj was always like a CAA guy and a Leon Rose guy. So if you really do see, if you like, this is like a, I don't know why I'm thinking so much about The Godfather today, but yeah, literally, it's like Shams and Rich and Woj and Leon. Like, I'm not saying that's what's actually happening, but Hector, that is a very astute observation. Like, if you look at it, it just really looks like some high level chess, some Game of Thrones shit everybody's playing, right? And look, Dejounte Murray, I'm with you. Like, if he wanted to go to New York, I guess he could raise that issue. But Rich Paul helped him get his big contract, right? Yeah. So his family's good. Now it's a question of, hey, where do you want to go compete to win? If it's not working, for all we know, he may still want to make it work in Atlanta. They still have interesting pieces. They have a good coach. For whatever reason, it's not working. I do think the Murray Mitchell thing, I think Murray is a better two-way fit, but I put a lot of stock in the guy who wants to be in New York, because we all know what that is like. We saw Melo do it, wanted to be in New York when no one else did. If you are a superstar and you are saying, I want to be in New York, now he's not saying that. Donovan Mitchell's done everything right. The way he's handled himself like a gentleman. He's never made the city of Cleveland feel like he's got one foot out the door, even if he does. He has been a true stand-up guy throughout this whole process. And he does miss some games. I do say, and I wonder if he's like, I might maybe not go a full 82 this year while I'm in Cleveland. But I do put a lot of stock in the superstar, because Lord knows none of them have wanted to come here. And when Brunson came here, he was not the superstar he is now. The superstar top 15 guy that wants to be in New York, that has value to me a lot.
And Jerry, if you're Rich Paul, right, and I'll throw it over to Soso after this. If you're Rich Paul, if you're Dejounte Murray's agent, where do you want your client to be at? Do you want him to be in Atlanta playing second fiddle to Trae Young, or do you want him in New York City where he can grow his brand, he get more eyes on him? Because let's be honest, Dejounte Murray, to basketball heads, we know who Dejounte Murray is, but to the average NBA fan, they don't know who Dejounte Murray is if he was walking down the street right next to him. So if you're Rich Paul, you want to get more eyes on your client, you want to get more notoriety, New York City would be the perfect place for this young kid to go, who is waiting for that massive contract. And everybody knows we got Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, who could be opting out in a couple of years. So right now it sets it up perfectly for Dejounte Murray to get his deal before they get theirs.
I'd be curious. You go.
He's been publicly talking about how much he loves LeBron, right? You see all the reports. It looks like LA would be his choice if he's making the decision on where he wants to play. So that doesn't help the conversation even further, right? You got the agent issues, Clutch Sports, all that. But then, don't you think he could still get that same notoriety, Heck, if he goes to?
I don't think the Hawks are the Lakers. What, have the 2029?
Yeah, I was about to say who they going to trade? Cam
I don't know. I mean,
I feel Phil said Lakers buy.
Teams work this stuff out where you're like, how on earth could they get this player as well? So
if the Lakers got Dejounte Murray, then the game is rigged. Then someone has to talk to Adam Silver, because
I no longer believe in money.
They only got one draft pick. No. But
the Dodgers, sports and money means nothing to me anymore.
Let's be realistic. The Lakers, they do not have the assets they would need to properly pull this trade off. They don't have that.
I don't know if they have 27 and 29 or just one of those left. I'm not quite sure. If you're the Hawks, it would look on one hand, it might be nice to send them out west as opposed to Miami or New York. Right, or wherever, but I don't know. It's tough. If I put myself in that situation, I think first and foremost, it's like, where do you want to play? Because I'm sure Dejounte Murray wants to win. We've seen him with the Spurs, and they didn't win a whole lot there. Now he's coming to the Hawks, and they're not winning a whole lot there. I'm sure he wants to win, but also now, do you want to win and be the guy, or do you want to win and be like, if he goes to LA, he's the third guy, right? a very good third guy. If he goes to the Knicks, I think it really is a on and off thing. Like some nights it's going to be Brunson, some nights it's going to be Randle, some nights it's going to be Murray. It's definitely a better dance for him where he could stand out and shine. But I don't know. It really just does seem that the Knicks are content to not overpay for anything. And I see it coming where it's like the Quickly thing, the iHeart thing, like this. We said it last week. This team will not be the same next year. If we do nothing now, stuff will have to happen in the offseason. This team will not be run back. It seems.
Is there still a
and now the injury for Mitchell throws that even more so in the air. Like when is I mean, screws in the foot. I know they're going to reevaluate him in 8 to 10. That does not mean he could play maybe in 8 to 10. We might hear 8 to 10 weeks he's out till next year, which is probably what we'll hear.
I think Knicks fans, we need to prepare ourselves for this season going forward. We should just prepare ourselves not to have Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
Don't have him in the back of your head that he's going to be that savior that comes back in March to help us make that postseason run. If he does, cool, copy. I'm all here for it. But don't depend on that. Go out there and get yourself a veteran who can fill in. Because God bless Taj Gibson. He's going to run out of gas soon. God bless my guy Taj. God bless the Gibson family.
Is there any side of you guys that still has a little bit of the we don't need to make a move this season?
No.
Or is that little piece that we've been holding on to kind of like, all right, we've seen what we've seen.
I say
we just beat the Bucks.
I think there's a world where we don't make a move. What you're betting on then is you're just hoping that guy's ceilings rise to A, maybe go deeper in the playoffs, but B, make them more valuable if you do make a deal in the offseason, right? That's what if you're not making a deal now, like I said, the tough decisions are coming. Maybe it puts Quickly in a sign-and trade situation. Maybe you do trade, you hope that the player's stock rises so they're more valuable in the offseason. Because you could just run it out this year because the team is playing well. It's not like we're sitting here like, hey, guys, we got to change something.
Right.
We're beating everyone we're supposed to beat, and we compete with the teams that are better than us and we usually lose, but we just got our first win against a really championship contending team. Because the Lakers, I don't really consider that because they're just coasting till they get to the end. So yeah, I think they can run this back for sure. I don't think they feel pressed to make a move right now. The team's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
17 and 11,
right?
17 and 12. Yeah, 17 and 12.
I think.
And yes, we're playing good, but I think what I saw a comment up here. Let me just check to make sure my mic is correct because I got.
Go ahead. As we take this pause so Phil can check his mic. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. If you guys can smack that like button, we got over 250 people in the building. Over 50 people are watching us on YouTube. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and shout out to my guy Phil with his all beige outfit today. Not that many people could pull that off. My guy Phil out here looking like a brand new Timberland that he got for Christmas. Go ahead,
matching
Phil.
the background and everything.
You see that, right? He's about to be invisible.
Stays fly.
I think he's trying to figure out.
Phil, you good? We can't hear you on the mic.
All right, let's throw it over to Celso. Celso, take us. What's your take from the man's on the streets?
Well, I mean, and that's why I brought up the question, right? Is I still have that little bit in me that's like, well, let's not make any crazy moves because again, it's another name that's like great, but is that the piece that's going to take us to the next level? It's like I feel like every time we bring up a name, it's yes, that one, but we also still need so and so. Like I haven't seen the package that I'm like, yep, that's the one, that's the move. That makes me feel like we can go 7 rounds with anybody. I'm still not sold on the we have to get rid of everybody. And again, I know the chat will blow me up. Oh, he's just okay with being mid and getting knocked out. No, I'm good with planning for the future. We begged for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, see the young guys. We started getting what we wanted. We're seeing them evolve. We're seeing what the Villanova boys are doing now that they're bringing their chemistry together. So I just feel like we're still in that growing mode where maybe I'm nervous on, hey, just go make that trade to make a trade. I'd rather say, well, let's make sure it's a trade that's really going to elevate us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's smaller things maybe that could be done, right? Maybe there is trades to make, but maybe it's just shore up the center position. Because again, I love Taj too, and I respect him staying ready so he never has to get ready coming off the couch. But yeah, maybe I know Isaiah Stewart's name gets thrown around a lot. You know, I do think that go look at Detroit. Go look at Washington. Go look at the teams that are packing it in already, thinking about where they're going in the offseason for vacation. Because that's what, by the way, that's what used to always happen to us, right? The teams would come looking at the Knicks saying, what could we pick off here? And trade him Tracy McGrady, who's got one more year left. And so I think we should go look at those 2 or 3 truly bad teams that are looking to pack it away and see if we could shore up the roster that way. If they truly decide like, hey, no Dejounte Murray, no Donovan Mitchell, there's no deal to be made. I think there is still a deal to be made. 'Cause I do think, again, I love Taj Heck. I do think a slight upgrade, whether it's, or even at the 4, whether it's a backup 4 to relieve Josh Hart a little bit of those duties, or a 5 and Taj sort of becomes the emergency guy. I think there's a small move to make. And then look, there's a long way to go still. So, and we see what happens, right? Like, weirdly enough, like, what was the big, the Bucks got knocked out in the first round last year.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to see the Bucks. If you have that first round matchup, if it's in Orlando or, not maybe Cleveland again or whoever, like, you don't know who Miami's going to knock. Maybe Miami knocks the Celtics. Like, one of those 3 potentially could fall in the first round. It happens almost every year. A top 3 or 4 team gets cut right out. So
nobody had the Heat going to the NBA Finals last year when we was going into the postseason, when the postseason started, right? Especially when Miami lost that first game in the play-in, nobody expected them to go to the finals.
They got blown out.
You never know what could happen in the finals. To Jerry's point, you never know. So, and that's why getting Donovan Mitchell, to me, is just, it makes you excited just to think about the prospects of Donovan Mitchell. Because say hypothetically we get Donovan Mitchell, he's on our team, and we make it to the second round. Now, if the Bucks are eliminated, surprisingly, by Orlando, if the Celtics are eliminated, if the 76ers are eliminated, and the Knicks have to face the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, that right there with Donovan Mitchell, as a Knicks fan, you got to be excited about your team. And so to your point about the team just running it back, if we had Mitchell Robinson and he wasn't injured, I could see this team not making a move at the trade deadline. But to Jerry's point, the fact that Mitchell Robinson is going to be out most likely for the rest of the season, you can expect for the Knicks to make at least one move, right? If it's not that major move for a superstar, it's just a move so you can have a backup center. That way you don't put that much pressure on Taj Gibson and Isaiah Hartenstein.
Phil, how's your mic?
Is it good?
It's weird thinking you have like a high-pitched robot voice.
Let me see. What about now? Try right now, Phil.
Try again.
Check.
Nah.
Like you got helium, bro. You're hitting balloons and shit, bro.
No.
Still no?
No.
Yeah, still no. You got that robot Phil, like building blocks. Shout out, guys. Throw the robot emoji in the chat for our guy Philly Phil as he figured this out.
But that's why I love what you said, right? Because again, that is a necessity move. Oh, snap!
There you go. Perfect, Phil.
I'm just putting on my headphones. All right. So this is the one thing I want to say about some of the comments. I see some people that are saying, let's just give it time. We have these young guys. They're going to develop. We're going to do that. That's great fantasy thinking. But we are not on the young guys' timeline. We're not. Like, when we signed Jalen Brunson, our timeline changed. Our timeline is now based around Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. It's not based around IQ and Grimes and RJ. Like, that's just fantasy to think that we're still waiting on those guys, that's our trajectory. So the one thing about the Donovan Mitchell trade that I don't want to see is that we make the trade for Donovan Mitchell and all of a sudden it's, now the Knicks are contenders. All they really needed was a star like Donovan Mitchell. And then all the hard work of the Jalen Brunsons and the Randles and even RJ is kind of discredited because all we really ever needed was a superstar. And Donovan Mitchell came and saved New York. As opposed to adding a player that is a complementary player like Dejounte Murray, and then we still end up contending. And it's, the Knicks were only a piece away instead of the Knicks needed that Donovan Mitchell savior. Because I think that even though their stats aren't too far off, The storyline completely changes when it's Donovan Mitchell versus Dejounte Murray that help us get to that next spot. And even if we don't make one of those trades this year, we're still going to do something. A move still has to be made, whether that's us signing Emmanuel quickly and trading him or just signing him to see what we do in the summer. Because I don't see us just not letting Emmanuel quickly walk away. Like, I don't see us doing that. So even that is a move. Like, we have to make a decision on that. And one thing I wasn't stoked on was the talks of Andre Drummond, because like I would think of like the Andre Drummond bloopers that were going around years ago, and I was just like, I don't really want that. But his last game in Chicago, like it's like he's a different player this year. I think it was 24 points and 24 rebounds in this last game.
Right? Rebounds? Yeah.
Oh, 25 rebounds. 25 rebounds. That's insane. 3 steals, 2 blocks, 11 of 13 from the field. Like, that's crazy. And so even adding something like that would be beneficial to us. That's defense and offense added to what we're ending up doing. And I truly believe Chicago is going to blow it up. So that's a potential for us to look at. But I do think something has to happen. I don't think that we're relying on waiting out till Grimes or IQ hit their prime. I don't see that happening at all.
Yeah, no more of that. I think that ship has sailed when it comes to.
And that's the thing. Your point, that ship has sailed, because if we were seeing what we saw in that Bucks game, where it was everybody showing up and everyone contributing, and that was kind of the norm, this team would be very, very dangerous. But unfortunately, we go in with question marks of, is IQ going to show up today? He had a stellar game yesterday, horrific game the night before. Which one are we getting? Same with RJ. Hey, is RJ going to show up and drop 20 today, or is he going to drop 8? You know, that is the question mark that's going to keep us from really getting to that next spot. Because the only two offensively we've been able to rely on night in and night out has been Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. But there still needs to be more.
Copy.
Yeah.
Jerry
no,
with the big sigh.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm exhausted right now. This show emotionally has taken such a toll on me because, you know, I'm emotional about RJ Barrett, right? Like my favorite team of all time was like the 96 Yankees, because it was so much homegrown talent. Like, yeah, they brought in like Cecil Fielder and Strawberry and Doc Gooden, but like the guys that were doing it were like these young core guys. And I feel like the Knicks have a little bit of that going, even though Brunson and Randle were not young, core guys. But look, RJ started off the season so great, but when, hasn't really been that little injury and the migraine stuff, he really hasn't gotten his rhythm back where it's game in, game out like he was doing in the beginning. So the lows are so low and the highs are so high. It's almost like, it's like you're in a relationship. Maybe you want something a little more stable. Maybe you want something that's not just going to fucking make your heart go like this the whole time. It's like, man, you shot 13 for 17 last night. And then tonight you're fucking 2 for 14 and you have turnovers and you don't do anything else to help the team and you're forcing. So it's tough because does he ever figure it out? And he's 24 and those guys are 28, 29, 30. So
yeah. And to your point, Jerry, when it comes to RJ Barrett, he was our draft pick, 3rd overall pick in that draft, after Zion, after Ja Morant. When it comes to us Knicks fans, or when it comes to just New York sports fans in general, if it's Bubba Crosby or RJ Barrett, we're going to go hard for that player, no matter how much their talent is, or no matter how good that player is. But we got to face reality when it comes to RJ Barrett. When you look at our draft picks over the past 10 years, Frank Ntilikina, he was a bust. Kevin Knox was a bust. Obi Toppin never lived up to the expectations of an 8th overall pick. And then you would sit here with RJ Barrett, who was selected 3rd overall. I'm not going to label RJ Barrett a bust, but has he lived up to the expectations? Absolutely not. He hasn't been that star to emerge as a complementary piece next to Julius Randle and our Jalen Brunson. right? So
also,
if
you
this
could
team,
cut this up with this picture and put on like it's been a long
yes,
I'm so sad right now, bro. Hector, you just made me so Hector, you just made me so
I'm
sad.
I'm sorry. I know you said your emotions was on a roller coaster already. I do apologize, Jerry.
Charlie
but you know, and
you're
meeting
right.
is the
Everything
first,
you're saying
the
is
first
right.
step.
Everything you're
the
saying
first
is right.
step is admitting you have a problem. And when it comes to the Knicks, we have a problem when it comes to picking players in the draft. Now, the bottom part of the draft or the second part of the draft, we're good. We've got Quickly, we got Grimes, Mitchell Robinson in the second round. But when it comes to those lottery selections, we just haven't hit. And that's what takes a team from mediocrity to contention status if they are able to hit in the lottery or just hit in the draft period.
Yeah. And let's be honest, those picks that we got, teams are going to want our unprotected first. They're not going to want the Bucks protect. Like the only way those picks will become valuable is as we get closer to it converting. Like Giannis leaves the Bucks. It's like, oh, now that pick is dope, right? And like the odds of that happening are so slim. Those picks are just going to be tossed around in the draft again, just basically to punt on drafting players, right? So if there's a deal to be made, it's going to be for one or two of the young guys and our own unprotected, preferably more toward like the 26, 7, 8 range, because they're hoping that we're bad at that point. That's what I would do if I'm a GM. Like, I don't want the protected Milwaukee pick. That pick too.
I just want to say real quick, right? Shout out to the GM of the Brooklyn Nets, right? Back in the day, because if it wasn't for that GM, us Knicks fans would be going through it right now, because there's a timeline out there that the Brooklyn Nets have Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, and Brown from Boston. Because you got to remember, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were picks that the Nets traded away for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. Damian Lillard was a pick that the Nets traded away for Gerald Wallace of all players. If you guys, that's a Snapple fact right there. Damian Lillard was that draft pick that the Nets traded away for Gerald Wallace of all people.
Yeah, and real quick, let me give a shout out to Jay Boogie with the $5 super chat. What up, Jay Boog? Shout out to the chat and panel. Blessings, health, happiness. No time to get emotional. We love the names on the chest, not the names on the back. New York for life. Big LMJ. I'm telling you, I really want that Jay Boogie button just so we have his sound when he drops the super chat, bro. I'm telling you. Go ahead.
So to Jerry's point, I think takes me back to the start of the show where you talk about Groundhog's Day. Because now it sounds like the same thing. We're thinking of trading young players, building on the team of the guys we've traded for or will trade for, and now we're talking about trading away the picks for when we're not good. Like, because that's when the teams are going to want our picks, is when we're no longer good. They're not going to want the picks that it looks like we're in contention for. So we trade away those picks when it comes to the point that our guys that we trade for are no longer part of our team, and then we no longer have good picks for that time to then rebuild. And then we start the process all over again of we don't have anything in the draft. Our height of, Knicks team is no longer at the height anymore. We're back to, being a team that needs to draft to have, because we traded away our young guys, so we have no one to replace the Jalen Brunsons and so forth, and now we don't have any draft picks. So it's kind of like a revolving door of this kind of sucks. So if we trade away everything and then in 3-4 years we need picks again, what are we going to do? So that's one of those things that it's like a narrative that continues to write itself and is a little concerning.
Fair. Yeah. All right. I know we could do the trade thing for hours. Let's switch it up.
Yeah, that was an hour. That was an hour.
Yeah, I just realized, So let's fit some other stuff in here. I know Phil wants to have a conniption about this one. Stop it. Just stop. Stephen A with the Knicks for clicks. You guys already saw it all on social media. Go ahead, Phil.
I understand.
His face in the middle is hilarious.
Kind of makes me want to just. It stinks because there was a time where let's see that face. I'd be like, yo, Stephen A. Now I just want to punch my screen while he's in the middle there. And so I understand like a TV show like that where they need ratings, where they need, the Knicks for clicks kind of thing, because that's what gets them their views. That's what gets people talking about them. That's what gets us talking about them right now. But it's just so frustrating because he's got, maybe not to the true fan, that's a diehard regardless, but to the regular everyday fan that's not like fully engulfed in the Knicks, sees something like this and then starts regurgitating takes like this. Like, if it wasn't for Isaiah Hartenstein right now stepping up the way that he has, having the ridiculous games that he's been having, and like the way that he's been able to help facilitate and move our offense, we would not be in these games. The games that we have won in this stretch, if we did not have a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein going from a bench player to playing like he has been playing, we would not have the wins that we have right now. So to discredit it and be like, what's that guy's name? Oh, I have to look at a Hartenstein. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous for him to like take that approach to somebody he calls one of his guys. Like, are you a fan of the team? Like, don't tell me you're a fan of the team and then you're going to critique one of the hardest working players on our team right now. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. If you're just going to be a super fan of people that you wish were on the team, and you're going to have every episode talk about how you want Donovan Mitchell, this team's nothing without Donovan Mitchell, and then you're going to discredit the guys that are actually playing their butts off, then stop calling yourself a Knicks fan and allow yourself to just get paid to be a troll, because that's what you are. DSJ is the only troll that we allow because we know he's being a troll. Stephen A. Smith is a troll and does not know that he's a troll. You are not a real Knicks fan if you're going to bash our actual hardworking players.
Facts. And, I'm a piggyback off what Phil said, and I'll throw it over to Jerry. But when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Let's be honest. Stephen A. Smith, that character is a WWE character. He knows what he's doing out there. He understands Knicks for clicks. He understands ESPN. They aren't getting the ratings that they once got, and when you got online independent content creators like Mason Cameron, who's putting the fire on the mainstream outlets, they got to do anything they can in order to get views and in order to get clicks. So we got to understand that this industry, it's all about circulating and generating clicks. So Stephen A., he knows what he is doing out there. It's just like with the Yankees last season. You guys remember when his comments about IKF and not knowing who IKF is? It's the same thing when it comes to the New York Knicks and when it comes to Isaiah Hartenstein. So when it comes to the industry, or when it comes to just talking sports, Stephen A., he's a legend, right? Just like Mad Dog Russo, just like Mike Francesa, they are all legends. But you got to understand the nature of the business, and it's all about generating clicks and generating views. And my guy, Ultra Cowboy fan, he's a Cowboy fan. So he can let you know how it is going back and forth with Stephen A. Smith. Go ahead, Jerry.
Ultra Cowboy, by the way, has been trolling this entire time.
Oh, yeah, word. Yeah, word.
Is he the resident Morning Brew troll? Because I don't know if is there actually a resident Morning Brew troll? Like, if he wants the title, he's winning it right now.
It's a back and forth between him and DSJ right now. So him and DSJ, they're battling for the
Ultra's
number one
having
troll
a big
in the
day,
chat.
I think Ultra and Fantasy troll right now is going off.
Ultra's having a big day.
He was on the low bracket, but he's surprising people right now.
Yeah, coming up.
Bracket is rising.
Look, I love Stephen A. Smith. I've had the chance to meet Stephen A. Smith. I've gone on First Take in the past, going back to like the Skip Bayless days. Couldn't have been a nicer guy to me, and I was just some actor coming in. He didn't think I could talk sports, so I think I actually surprised him. And he was a big Power fan, so shout outs to Stephen A. Here's how I look at that, right? Like, look, if you have to fish for Isaiah Hartenstein's name, that means you're not really able to watch the games. Now, does that mean Stephen A. is not a Knicks fan? No, I genuinely believe he wants the Knicks to be good. Do you know what that guy's schedule is like? Do you think he could watch every team every night? Like, and if he could, God bless him. Maybe he does stay up till 4 a.m. watching, grinding through NBA games. But look, I got 2 kids. I could only really watch 1 or 2 games every other night, right? So, yeah, I don't think he's watching Knicks versus Wizards or Knicks versus Kings on the road, or the Suns game. Maybe he is, but he's got to watch the big games, and he's also watching football too. So I do believe he's like a Knicks fan. I do believe he wants the Knicks to do well. He's been going to Knicks games since he was a kid. I just think that dude's busy. And that to me felt like, I'm so busy I can't even remember what's the dude's name, the backup. I like him, but what's his name? You know, I don't think it was as disrespectful as it came up, but it made for a great clip. Everyone talked about it. Everyone's mad at him. So the result worked. But I do believe he roots for the Knicks and wants to. And also his business is better when the Knicks are better. So
yeah.
Everyone's winning here. I just think he's so busy. He doesn't really watch. He can't watch every Knicks game like we do.
Yeah, I didn't get worked up, Jerry. As the leader of the iHeart fan club and president, the signups after that comment went through the roof. So, Stephen A helped the iHeart fan club. I mean, you said it, Heck. It's Stephen A. That's
we love him, man.
We met him outside of WFAN, and he had that character.
On Wednesday, he's answering text on Making Love. On Thursday, he can't remember iHeart's name. The dude's busy, all right?
He's busy.
So I didn't care. I'll tell you one thing I want to talk about. I know we got a couple minutes before we wrap, but this excited me this week, man. Julius Randle, just hearing him say he wants to win a championship here in the city. I don't know, man. I told y'all, I've got that 30 jersey. Julius is just on a whole other level to me this season. Every which way, playing, offensively, his mindset, seeing him out in the city with his son, things he's doing for the city. Like, I don't know, man. Julius, not once in my head have I said I want to trade Julius Randle this season. And you can come at me all you want, chat. I am sitting here. I am a number 30 lover. I don't care. Hector, go ahead, bro. What'd you think about him?
That's because me and Phil was with you when you got that Julius Randle jersey last season, during the postseason. But I just want to take a second to shout out the chat. We got over 231 people watching us collectively on all stream. Over 66 people are watching us on YouTube. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button for your boys as we continue the conversation.
If you're on one of the other platforms, come join us on YouTube.
Click
help
the link,
us hit these numbers. It helps us. Support is free. Just come over. You can drop all your hellos and everything right here and just hit the little subby button. All right.
We are sitting at 2,226 subscribers.
Damn.
Hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 3,000 subs. Shout out to my guys from For the Love of the Game. I think my guy Hard Will is in the chat. Will, salute to you and salute to your nephew, who is one of the top 10 draft picks or projected draft picks when it comes to this draft that's coming up for the NBA. He plays for the Connecticut Huskies. My guy, Stefan Castle. Shout out to my guy, Hard Will. Hard Will is a former basketball player and a basketball trainer, so his nephews has the moves of an OG New York City point guard. He got some skills. The kid is nice. But shout out to my guy, Hard Will. Shout out to Ron and John in the chat. Shout out to Keith Turner, Ultra Cowboy fan. Even the trolls hit the like button. Absolutely, when it comes to that. But no, when it comes to Julius Randle, how can you not like the bounce back, from the beginning of the season? The beginning of the season, Julius Randle was struggling tremendously. He was struggling. He wasn't the old Julius Randle. We talked about his explosiveness. He didn't look like he had his legs underneath him. He has his legs underneath him now. He won Eastern Conference Player of the Week. This is our guy, Julius Randle. Regardless if you hate him, regardless if you love him, number 30 is our guy here in New York City. You may be upset that he's wearing Bernard King's jersey number, but it is what it is. Julius Randle is a Knick, and with Jalen Brunson, you just got to have the correct pieces around them in order to be successful.
Yeah, when it comes to Randle, like, it's impressive to have 22.9 points a game and 46.4 field goal percentage after 29 games when your first 5 you were shooting about 20%. Like, to be able to get your numbers back up to 46.4% shooting after you were at 20% for 5 games, that's impressive. That's really, really impressive. And so, and even for me, I didn't have so much issues with his shooting percentage in the beginning of the games. The concerning parts were he was having bad games, so his aura, was just like, oh, I don't really care, But it seems like even as of late, he's joking in post-game interviews. Like, he's doing things in the city with his family, And so this is the kind of Julius Randle that I think the New York fan base can really, really get behind, because it's showing more and more that he's able to take a turn to be about the city and about people, and instead of just being about Julius Randle. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted. The insufficiencies in defense, like, that'll come. I think I do want to see a little more effort on that. But when it comes to an offensive game, you cannot. I was looking the other day because someone was like, is he the best all-around power forward in the league right now? And I'm not going to debate that. But I can say he is top 5 in the league, even after his rough start offensively. He is top 5 in the league right now as an offensive power forward. And that's pretty great. That's pretty great to see. And he's actually working alongside of Jalen Brunson a lot better. Like, we've seen it be less clunky, and them being able to actually start playing with each other. That was weird. Them actually being able to start playing well with one another, over these last like 3 or 4 games. And so I like the trajectory of where he's going. This is the kind of Julius Randle that I would like to see continue. And I honestly am rooting for him in the playoffs. Like, I want to see this come in and him shatter the narrative that a lot of us have, that he is an in-season player. It would be heartbreaking to see him play this well and then get into the playoffs and have a repeat of the last 2 playoffs. Like, I want him to stay healthy so there's no questions of surgery or questions of, injury, whatever, and see him deliver like this in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But I like at least what I'm seeing this season more than any other season when it comes to Randle. Like, if
I'm going to toss sorry, Phil.
I'll get a Julius Randle jersey if he can do this through the season and in the playoffs. Like, I will straight up get a Julius Randle jersey. I'll even get a patch, custom patch that says #1 fan.
Clip that.
So,
clip
it. Listen. Phil's dog is already named after RJ Barrett. I think we could get a hamster named after Julius Randle for Phil this season. Let's get the hamster Randle going crazy for my guy Phil. Mark in the chat just said, I just subscribed. Have you guys discussed how much better his footwork is? I think we're talking about Julius Randle. Mark, welcome to the chat. Folks in the chat, welcome Mark to the familiar. And we got a $10 super chat. I just want to read it real quick and I'll throw it over to Jerry. J Boogie with the $10 super chat. You ain't orange and blue, then you can't relate. I have them toxic boys to air your Twitter space. A lot of people right now, they on clickbait. I'll have your forehead looking like Stephen A. Smith. First of all, as somebody who was bald himself, I feel you, J Boogie, when it comes to that. Go ahead, Jerry.
J Boogie went too far. We don't talk about. I don't want this to be a hairline show. We don't talk about hairline.
I can't make it a.
I lost that argument.
Me as someone as someone who's held on for 44 years, like, I'm not putting that bad karma out there talking about any man's hairline at all. Shout out Mark for the sub, and good point with the footwork with Randle. It's everything has been better. And again, he's the most over criticized all-star player in a very long time, right? Like, we criticize all the players, we're fans, that's what we do, but he just has been criticized pretty much since the playoff series in Atlanta till now. But the footwork is better. He's recognizing the doubles better. Everything has been better. And even like when Brunson had that monster performance, who's the first guy who kind of ran up to him laughing at the end of the game? It was Randle. Yeah. If we go back to that fateful year where the Knicks came out of nowhere and made it into the playoffs as the 4 seed and lost to the Hawks, the stories that were coming out about Randle as a teammate were amazing. He gets to the cities early. He goes, finds a local gym to shoot around. Now RJ is going with him. Like, it's there. And yes, he did handle some of the down times, not in the most mature space, but he's been open about all that. And some people are saying sell high. The stock is back up. First of all, the stock is not back up with Randle. He just doesn't get the respect that he should get on a trade. So I don't know. That's my guy, man. Julius Randle has brought us playoff apperances at a time when we were slated to be back in the lottery. So I hope that guy's a Knick for life. I really do. Or at least for his prime of his career.
All right, folks. I started the GoFundMe. You could put your donations so we could get Phil a gerbil before the All-Star break. If you haven't put your votes in, make sure you guys vote for Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle to be at the All-Star game. When I was at the Garden on the 23rd with Knicks OmniFan, shout out to the Queens from the OmniFan. I had a chance to meet Marcus Camby, but I also made sure I voted for my guy Jalen Brunson and for Julius Randle. If you haven't put your All-Star votes, make sure you only vote for them too. You don't need to vote for anybody else. Just make sure you vote for our guys. Point blank, period.
Is he gonna make it?
Oh,
he better make it this season.
It shouldn't even be a question.
He better make it this season, honestly.
So it's apparently people are saying it's apparently between him and Maxey.
Yeah.
And a lot
Maxey
of people
can wait till next year. Maxey can wait.
I agree. A lot of people believe though that because they don't think that like he will be the one voted in by fans, that he would be the one voted in by like the people, like the coaches and everything like that in the industry. But what they're saying is that they think that Maxey might have, a story that the NBA would want to capitalize on, which is James Harden leaves and they start to thrive with Maxey taking the reins and stepping up into all-star caliber player. And so it just depends on if people are willing to like choose based off of who really deserves it, as opposed to what fits an NBA storyline, that'll sell.
Boo. We got over 200
pretty
people.
Fantastic this year.
My fault, Jerry. We got over 200 people watching us collectively on all platforms. We got over 83 people watching us on YouTube, which is the record for Knicks Morning Brew. Previous record was 74 people watching us on YouTube. We are at 83. So if you guys can't smack that like button, my fault, Jerry. Go ahead, bro.
No. I'm just saying, like it's just loaded. That's why, and maybe this will be a good transition to sort of end up on, right? It's every night. Like if you would have looked at the schedule, this part of the schedule in the next season, you would have said, oh, this is a time where we're going to eat. We go to OKC and then Orlando and then Indiana. We're going to get some dubs. Now, we still might get some dubs. Those are 3 tough games against 3 really good young teams that all bring something different and all have all-star, if not all, and they have all NBA guys on their team. Shai is all NBA. Shai might be the MVP of the league right now. I mean, it's probably Embiid, but Shai might be the MVP of the league. Halliburton's going to make all NBA. Like Orlando, they don't have all NBA, but Paolo's probably going to make an all. Like, so it's just so deep. If Brunson doesn't make it, yes, I will be pissed. But to me, it's meaningless. He's an all-star. It's just the whole East. And the whole league is just loaded with young talent, mainly in the backcourt. So, but yeah, go vote him in. He deserves it. But him and Maxey's having a tremendous year. But yeah, look at those 3 games we got coming up. Literally OKC, Orlando, Indiana. At the start of the season, you'd say that's at least 2-1, maybe even 3-0. And now you got to look at that. Like, man, if we went 2-1, I'm taking that right now. Get me out of there.
Yeah, 100%. But also too, our previous road trip, right? We lost the game against the Clippers and we lost the game against Utah, right? Going into that road trip, we expected those are the 2 games that we should win, right? But we lost those 2 games, but we won against the Phoenix Suns and we won against the Lakers. We won 3 of our last 4 games. So who knows, Jerry? I know your point is valid, especially with who we got coming up, the young kids with OKC
tonight.
But we can surprise someone. Let's see what happens tonight. The New York Knicks are 17-12. The OKC Thunder are 18-9. Can you put that graphic back up, Celso?
Yeah.
It said Nets. Great. Go ahead, keep talking.
Oh, it said Nets, so it was a mistake. So it's 18-9 for the OKC Thunder. Listen, as long as we're on our game, as long as Julius Randle comes out like Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson continues his dominance over this past week. He scored over 30 points in the loss to the Bucks and over 30 points in the win against the Bucks. So, we just need RJ Barrett to step it up. I'm going to need to see back-to-back solid performances from RJ Barrett. He had 20 points on Christmas. I'm going to need him to have 20 points tonight against OKC.
Yeah. So one thing to look at when it comes to Jalen Brunson and Maxey, it's kind of crazy how close their stats are. But Jalen is above in everything. So points for Maxi's 25.9, 26.1 for Brunson. 3.8 rebounds for Maxi, 4.0 for Brunson. 6.7 assists for Maxi, so he wins in that category. 5.9 for Brunson. Field goal percentage, 45.8 for Maxi, 48 for Brunson. The only thing that I can think of that would give Maxi the upper hand is that there was like 3 games back-to-back where Brunson struggled significantly, and it took those 48, 50, whatever point games to get his stats back up to those percentages. So if they're looking at like every single game, just night in and night out, as opposed to an accumulation of the season, then they might look at Maxi as like every single night he came out. That would be the only thing that really gives him the upper hand. But when it comes to OKC tonight, I think that's one that like we have to make sure that every single player shows up. Every single player shows up because they have a pretty in-depth roster of players that can score. Like when you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who could be MVP, and then you have Chet, who could be arguably Rookie of the Year, and then you have just like sprinkled within the Giddies and, like those kind of players. There's not one person you cannot defend on that team. Like you have to defend them. And they like to run a young, fast-paced offense, which is something that we need to be able to like make sure that we're guarding. The only thing that I could say about OKC is they have all these players, but they pass the ball. Like I've said it since the start of the season before we even played a game, and it's been true night in and night out. You look at that last Bucks game, you know why we lost? Because when we said 16 to 20 assists and the Knicks will lose based on how we are constructed as a team. How many assists did we have? 17 that night. How many did we have in the game that we actually won? I believe it was 26. Night and day difference from when we move the ball and actually play as a team to when we get the 16 to 20 assists. If you see 16 to 20 assists tonight against OKC, I will claim it again, we will lose. We can only beat the teams that are that good if we are 23, 24, 25 assists and up. And that's what I'm going to keep on banking on until it winds up not being true.
I think another major factor tonight too, though, and we saw it, is Ihart not getting in foul trouble early. That first Bucks game, he had 2 fouls right off the clip. Right? Off the gate. That changed things right off the gate. Look at that second game. He, was smart down there. And, I think as long as Ihart stays out of foul trouble too early on, that's a big plus for us.
I just want to prepare all Knicks fans. I know we got a lot of people watching right now. Numbers are up. So that's why I feel good about saying this right now. Okay. I want to prepare all of you with an analogy. Okay. What is going to happen tonight is think about that person, that girl, whatever, the person that you like had your first crush on, that you really thought you could be something. Maybe we'll end up together. It could be a beautiful thing. And it just didn't happen. 2 ships passing in the night. That is what it's going to be like watching Shai tonight. We are going to see what that person grew up to be. And then we're going to start going, oh my God, I could have married that person. That could have been me. Because it's going to be hard to watch. That dude is unstoppable. So I ask all of you as we wrap up, this is the game, if the Knicks could win, that you have to look at Tom Thibodeau, because you're a defensive guy. You draw up great game plans. Now I know you're missing one of your key defensive pieces. What in the world are you going to do with that guy tonight? Who are you throwing at him? Are you doubling him? How do you stop him? No one's been able to do it. I don't think you ever stop him. How do you slow him down? Or do you let him get off and just try to shut everyone down? That's what I'm going to be looking for defensively, what the Knicks do with Shai, because nobody's been able to figure out that code. He's been unbelievable this year. So
36 points against the Timberwolves. That's
the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he scored.
I'm about to say, D-Block just put it in the chat. Thunder beat the Timberwolves by 23 points last night. And
let's not beat up on RJ if RJ's the one who gets the call guarding him and he lights RJ up. Could we please calm down? Okay, calm down.
That's some Canada on Canada violence right there.
Right, where's the battle for Canada tonight?
Yeah, it's the battle for Canada tonight against SBA and RJ Barrett.
The only thing that I will say is if anyone on our team has a chance to guard him, it would be the guy who played alongside of him and saw his game firsthand all summer long. No.
I'm kidding. That was a shout out.
Oh, God.
We're bringing back Knox for one game. He's on a one-game contract. Him and Cam Reddish, one-game deals. So, yeah, it would be RJ. RJ played alongside of him. They build a rapport together. So RJ was able to see how he kind of handled an offense. So that would kind of be our, greatest chance. And yeah, if he gets cooked, he gets cooked. I think that's one thing that is really messed up about our fan base is RJ, especially when Grimes is like coming off the bench, RJ is guarding the best offensive players most times on the other team. So we crucify him when he does bad, but imagine if Brunson or Randle or Dante were guarding those players, I think we would be in way worse of a spot. So we got to kind of have a little bit of a calm down, pipe down Chachi kind of moments when it comes to RJ getting cooked by the best in the freaking league.
At least we're all going into it tonight with the expectation, RJ, we understand, buddy.
We put out a lot of good reverse jinx energy tonight.
Yeah, it was
a lot of good reverse jinx energy.
Also, Jerry, you weren't with us, but last Friday we were able to celebrate our 100th episode of the Knicks Morning Brew. We are on 101 right now. Yeah, gotta mention it before we dip out. Appreciate all the new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for helping us grow. We got the numbers up to 89 viewers today. That was a record for the Knicks Morning Brew. We got 87 people in the chat, sitting on 52 likes. If you guys can, smack that like button. And if you haven't figured it out, Jerry is working on the Notebook too. That's why you always have those references to the girl that got away. So be on the lookout for the Notebook 2 coming out August 26th, 2025.
I sang today. I made rom-com references. I'm an emotional mess.
We are ready for Knicks basketball. I mean, that's the way to. All right, well, I appreciate everybody Hector, in the chat. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Hector, real quick. So, like Hector was saying, I'm looking at the actual analytics. So, 87 were on YouTube. But for those of you that aren't, thank you for your support. But if you can head on over to YouTube, because there's actually 202 views that YouTube has seen as actual current watchers in the analytics. So 282 on that episode that YouTube recognizes. And then there's Twitter and there's Facebook and stuff like that. So if you guys can help us take those views and head on over and subscribe to the YouTube channel, that helps us kind of build those numbers where it kind of matters for us in the end. So thank you guys so much wherever you're watching. And if you guys can, head on over to the YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, before we bounce, tonight we got Jets Evening Brew. Also tomorrow morning, you Yankees fans, Hector on the Yanks Morning Brew. We got Frank Luna coming in. We're doing giveaways tomorrow just for being in the chat, showing up. Come hang out, get some signed autographs.
Got the duck races tomorrow.
I want to show the ducky races. I want to show my guy how to be a true troll. Porto, what the hell are you guys going to talk about tonight on Jets? What on earth? Are you gonna? I'm gonna come in there, and you guys are gonna be talking about camping, or so. What are you guys gonna be talking about tonight? I'm gonna pop in just to mess shit up.
Jerry. No, stop by, because anytime someone says something about the Jets, my answer is, well, at least we're not DeVito's agent, And then I just throw.
Hey, listen, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't even. Listen, I didn't get sucked into the Italian Tommy Cutlets thing.
I did. I'd rather talk about chicken cutlets instead of one of Aaron Rodgers' ayahuasca trips that you guys are going to be talking about later on today. Definitely.
That's what I love about Jets Brew, though, is you will find something to analyze and discuss and agonize over, and that's why it's a good show, and that's why I like messing with you guys.
Yeah.
Mark in the chat, he brought up the question, how long have you guys been doing this? I just found out today. You guys are great. Listen, We go back to the Knights of Dejan channel. That's when me, myself, Celso, Phil, and Jerry, first got together to talk about the Knicks, talk about the Yankees. But myself, Celso, and Phil, we started Morning Brew Sports around March of this year. And from March of this year to now, we've been able to get over 2,000 subscribers. We've grown the Knicks Morning Brew. Jerry's come a part of the Knicks Morning Brew, Yanks Morning Brew, Rangers. We talk Rangers as well, just like the Jets. We got a lot over here on Morning Brew Sports. We appreciate all of you guys as you guys come with us on the growth and adventure. And Celso, I am tired of talking, so take us out.
Where's the coffee sponsorship? Any of you watching,
Right?
if you work for a coffee company, I mean, it's called Morning Brew. We're drinking coffee over here. Where's the coffee sponsorship? I'm looking for. I'm coming for you in 2024. We need a coffee brand that's good, that could also keep us caffeinated while we yell at each other about the Knicks. Let's go. I'm done talking too, Hector.
Chat, drop your favorite coffee companies that should, go tag them online, do all that stuff. We're not doing a playback tonight. They're going to kick those back off in January. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Jerry, Phil, Heck, love you guys. On that note, deuces.
Deuces.